press against the parapet and the earth presses back, wet and smooth as bone. I keep wiping my hands on my coat, but the stock slides all the same. The man to my left croons the same line of a hymn into the muzzle of his mask. The sky is the wrong color, too low, and every time the Vox barks, our heads dip the exact same fraction, as if a single tendon threads us. Minutes lean and pop like joints. A whistle scream, then nothing, then a spatter of clods. Someone shoves a dented tin into my hand and I try to drink but miss my mouth. We move one boot length, then freeze, chin to stock, breath stitching the fabric. The sergeant's glove taps my helmet rim, not hard, a metronome. Tap and I breathe, tap and I look where he looks. He keeps the beat even while he shouts. I know his name because it is painted on his chest plate where it bumps against his collarbone. The paint is old and the letter grooves are filled with filth the color of tea with milk. He tells me to check my pack, and I check my pack again, and the charge packs are there, squared like loaves, wrapped in oilcloth that smells of heating metal. My hands do the things. Thumb to release, pop the spent pack half out and push it home again. My fingers remember how to slip the sight up and down, even though I used it twice on the range, and both times the target slid on its wire from wind. The weight of the weapon is wrong here, where the air is damp and tastes of old blood that isn't ours. It was light in the barracks with lights humming and concrete beneath my boots. Here it finds the bones of my wrists and sits on them, and its sound more than anything. Everyone is keeping quiet because we were told to keep quiet, so all I can hear is my throat trying not to swallow and the wet tug of fabric against fabric like a fish being pulled out and put back in a bucket. The ground is shivering. No, it's my knees. No, it's both. He makes me say the serial string again. Not my name. The string on the tag stamped in. Easy to say with your teeth shut. I think it so my lips don't move. I think it with the numbers stepping on each other like drill boots, because if I try to remember my name, it floats and slips and the sky will fall on it. The man on my left finishes his hymn and holds out his hand as if I asked for it. He presses a strip of cloth into my thumb. It is smooth with grease and has inked lines like thin roadways. And in the corner a face is drawn with 6 straight strokes and a circle for a mouth. He nods and I fold it into the crook of my rifle where it will catch the dirt, and I pretend I have always carried it there. He says something muffled by the mask. I nod like I know it too. The sergeant taps again and drops his hand. We all lean our heads the same way to listen to the vox. It rattles and then snaps into shape. A voice made of dry leaves. You can tell the words by how long the breaks between them are and by when the sergeant nods. Fire, short, when you see the lights. We wait. Waiting is heavy. It piles up on the shoulders of my coat and on my helmet and on the little knobs of my spine, and it sinks into my boots heel first. It is different from the scrabble and clank of drills. And it is not full of small things to fix like buttons and seams. It is a big thing with no edges to grip. I keep the rifle up because if I lower it, the weight of waiting will push the barrel into the mud and fill it, and then I will be the one who is wrong when he goes to fire. The first splatter that hits the parapet is clotted and makes a sound like meat dropped onto a cutting board. It leaves a crescent mark. The second is dry and bounces off with a chitter. The third shatters like hot glass. I cannot tell what is ours and what is theirs. I think the air is cutting into pieces so small they cannot be seen, and each piece carries a taste. Bitter, metallic. The paper the sergeant made me sign tasted like this when I licked the back of it to get rid of the grit, and it left my tongue numb for an hour. My tongue is numb now, and a man coughs and cannot stop. It is the kind of cough where a bit of lung comes up and the throat has to be scraped like a pan. The sergeant says nothing. He does not need to. The cuff of his glove against my helmet says it all. Tap, tap, tap. At the range, they said there would be lights. They said the enemy would bring their machines and their light would give them away because light likes to travel in straight lines and the ground does not. They drew chalk lines in the dust so we could see angles. Now the chalk is slop and the lines are ribboned, and I think there are lights, but they might be stars behind the wrong sky. I try to count breaths. I get to 7 and lose the feel. The drill said 8 count in, 8 out. I can't get 8 without stealing one, so I steal and hope the Emperor doesn't notice me pocketing air. And the first one to fire is not me. It is the heavy gun 2 sandbags to my right. It flays the dark with bright threads that unspool from the muzzle, each one a nail hammered with loving patience. The noise punches the world flat. Holes appear downrange. The holes do not look smaller because they are far away. They all look the same size, round, black, hungry. We fire when the sergeant says. His mouth becomes the edge of the world. I put the sight over the place he points and I squeeze the leaf. The rifle bucks like a hand slapping my cheek, too familiar to be angry. Red light goes out and I follow it with my eyes because they want to run somewhere. The air between me and where it goes looks like it is wrinkling around something large moving very fast that only exists while the muzzle glow is on. The lights are there after all, and they are wink and sleet, and sometimes they bloom too big with a sound like a bag with a cat in it being thrown on the ground. We aim at lights because lights are hands in a crowd. I do what my body has been taught to do. Sight, squeeze, hold, breathe, sight, squeeze, hold, breathe. The rhythm might save me. It is something like prayer, it is something like washing. I do not know what I am hitting. When I think too hard about the shapes beyond the lights, they slip. When I think of them as targets on wires, they hang in the wrong places. The sergeant's voice comes like a rod to knock my thoughts back into their rank. Short bursts. Don't, glaze, no, guttering. No, you are not a bonfire. I tell my finger to stop trying to be a bonfire. The mud in front of us jumps like a flock of birds and then settles with slurps. Something heavy scrapes metal nearby. The man on my left twitches, lifts his heel. He brings his face to mine as if to share a secret. His eyes are the color of the water left in a steel cup overnight. He is trying to say words around his mask, and the words cannot come through without turning into steam. There is a hole in him already. I do not remember seeing it appear, but it is perfectly cut and lined with a thin ring of black. The cloth of his coat has melted into it in little curls. When he leans, the hole opens and shows me a color I have never seen in paint but have seen in raw meat when the butcher cut it just for me. He finishes saying nothing and collapses as gently as if he were going to sleep, and his rifle barrel nudges my knee in apology. I keep firing. The sergeant moves like the piston in a pump, and the same distance each time, the same speed, sliding through bodies and equipment and keeping us at the right pressure. His glove comes down on my shoulder and squeezes once. His knuckles leave a clean welt through the muck on my coat. I want to lean into him like a child leans into a door frame to see if they are taller yet. I do not. The air changes one more time. It smells thicker. It takes more work to pull it in and push it out. That means something is coming not by light but by heat, or that something with a lot of body is close enough to warm the air in pieces. I check my pack because I have to do something that is not looking. Pop, slide, not yet. Pop, slide, not yet. Something tall moves in front of us, tall like the drainage towers back home with the rust stripes and the bird nests. And it moves with the kind of lazy certainty of a crane arm. It isn't ours. Ours announce themselves with hymns in squelching tin and embossed plates like the covers of holy books. This one shakes itself clean like a dog out of water, and the rain runs off it without touching. It crosses my sight and I fire, and my shot fizzles against it and makes no mark at all. not even to announce to it that I shot. It does not look at me. I am tiny. It passes and leaves a smell of oil that is sweet and new and wrong here. Down the line, somebody screams in the wrong language. It is a human sound, but with a twist in it that makes hair rise on my arms under the coat. The heavy gun hammers there until it has to pause to drink, and in the pause, the screaming sound multiplies and comes back at it like thrown marbles. We are supposed to be many, and the sergeant said that, and then he made a face like the sentence tasted like chalk. We are supposed to be many, and when we press into a line and hold, we are supposed to be as solid as a brick wall. But walls have mortar, and our mortar is in thin strings between fingers and knees, sweat and proximity. A brick shifts, and another. The strings hold for now. The sky splinters. Something blows close enough that I feel my chest hit the inside of my breastbone. The sound comes after, deepening and opening like a door into a cellar. I think I will fall into the empty behind the noise, and my legs buck. There is dirt in my mouth that was never on the ground because it is too fine and tastes like the inside of a battery. I swallow some before I can spit it out, and it makes my teeth sing, a line of black forms where my tongue touches my teeth. It takes me a long time to find the rifle again. It already lives under my hands. I find my hands, and it is there. Someone is trying to crawl into the space between the spade boards under my boots. They make small noises like trying to burp quietly. I look down, and there is a face there, pressed sideways into the mud. The eye that is showing moves, but slowly, as if he is scanning the trench floor plank by plank. I want to move my boot to make room for him, but there is no room in this trench. The planks are too close. When I lift my heel, the space that opens just fits a snail. The man does not fit. He settles and stops moving. My boot is still on him. I take my foot off because it is the wrong kind of contact. My boot goes into water so cold it seems to burn a shape of itself around my ankle. I cannot tell if he is still there, and the helmets down the line rise in a wave and then sink. The wave comes back. The sergeant's glove is not tapping now. It is closed, fist on the top of the parapet. He puts 2 fingers to his eyes and stabs them toward the ground about 5 paces out. The ground there shivers and then pouts outward, and a head the size of my hand pokes out. It is not a head. It is a tooth with an eye. The eye is on a stalk that is slick and moves by folding and unfolding itself like a worm. The eye opens and is full of broken light. The tooth snaps. The heavy gun finds it and plucks it apart into pieces which flop as if trying to crawl back toward the hole. My mouth is open. I taste the taste of electrical burn and stew, and a different taste that I know as a child knows the smell of their mother's coat. Fear, but not mine. And another thing comes up farther down, and another not in a line but here and there like mushrooms after a rain, each topped by something that looks as if it was drawn by a child's hand trying to sketch a man and a jar and a knife all at once. They do not come up where the lights were. They come where the mud is soft and the boards laid poorly. They come into our trench. We are ready in the way the drill room said you can be ready. Bayonets are fixed. 1, 2, 3. The blades make a sound that is the only clean sound in all this. A little ring as they lock, a high note like a glass. The ring goes down the line. I think of a chain. The first of them comes over the parapet so close to me that the tip of my barrel is inside the fringe of something like hair around its joint. And it is bigger than me and smaller than a man who carries an anvil, and it moves with no waste at all. It drops into the trench and lands spry as if it meant to be here all along. It has a mouth of sorts that opens sideways, and inside is a set of tongues that are really little arms, and they touch the slick, cold edge of my rifle and taste it. It makes the same sound the man trying not to cough made, but behind it is the sound of meat pushing through a sieve. The sergeant does not say a word. I do not wait for him. I have been told how to thrust. I have been shown the length to keep between me and a mouth. I have been shown where to push and shown where armor is weak, and I nodded and understood in the light with a man wearing padded cloth to fall on so my blade didn't nick when I missed. Here there is no padded cloth, and here there is the thing that is not a man, and the first thing I do is forget to breathe. The world is narrow enough for me to see only the place where my blade might go. I aim for the place under the lip of the mouth. The blade goes in and meets something like a bundle of damp sticks tied with wire. I push and feel each little stick break, some of them singing with what might be sound or might be thought going through them. Fluid comes up the blade and over my hand. It is not hot. It is cold and it is thick, and it smells of a beach I was taken to once and of the animals that washed up there with giant eyes full of sand. I hold the rifle like a lever and put my weight onto my front foot like the instructor said, and my foot slides because of the slick under it. The thing is trying to climb me. Its arms have hooks on them and they reach. One takes hold of the buckle of my jacket and tugs. I feel the tug through the entire coat like someone pulling a sheet from under a sleeping man. There is no room to recoil. The trench walls are wet planks and my friends are bodies, and the thing is inside the small space where breath should be. The only way is forward. I scream, not words. The sound is squeezed out of my throat by my own chest pressing on it. I push again and feel the blade hit something that yields as if it was made to be opened by this exact action. The thing shudders like a drumbeat in my arms and then folds down like the bell of a flower closing. Its weight comes onto the blade and then into me and then into the earth, and when I step back there is a noise like a boot being pulled out of very deep mud, and my weapon is free. I am shaking. Not the trembling of earlier, the small animal shiver. This is a different motion, like a motor coming up to speed unevenly. The sergeant is still there. He touches the barrel of my gun and hisses a whisper I cannot hear. It might be approval. It might be a warning. His glove leaves a stripe on the metal where the cold wet from the thing begins to set and then is burned away by the heat of my last shots. That was the moment everything in me changes shape to fit. There is no place for the person who recites the string and thinks of chalk. There is only a shape made of reactions and weight, and the knowledge that the next to come over the parapet will have a different mouth and a different joint, and my blade will need to find a different gap. I have something in me now, and it is very quiet, and it has my hands. More come. Some slide down behind us and get caught in our boards and are crushed under boots. Some rear and try to climb and are knocked back with wooden handles and rifle stocks. The heavy gun turns and stitches bright up the parapet and cuts the bigger ones into parts which keep moving with offended insistence. The man who gave me the strip of cloth is on his knees and his head hangs on a strand, and he is trying to pull it back into place with both hands as if he has broken a necklace and the beads are rolling. I would help him if there was any possible help there. There is not. The sergeant shoots a man. It happens with the same flat certainty as fixing bayonets. The man tries to climb out of the trench, his boots scrabbling and kicking at others, and his mask is torn aside and his mouth is open so wide it looks as if his jaw might dislocate. And he spits a string of spit and snot and his tongue wags. He doesn't do it to spit. He does it because his throat is working at the sound he is making. The sergeant puts the pistol under the base of his skull where the bone dips in like a thumbprint, and the sound is big and sudden in this small space. The man goes down and looks like any other meat. He falls into the place where another man might have fallen anyway, and so he stops taking up space we need. That is all. My stomach tightens, but the thing in me that has my hands does not let me be surprised. The sergeant shakes his head once, as if he is admitting to someone in his chest that it was necessary. We go over the top. There is no horn, no chorus, no word that makes the motion noble. There is a squeeze. The trench is too full. and the bodies in the incoming and the press of those behind make it so that up is the only out. We go because our boots find places to go and because the hands on our packs push and the faces behind us are lined with relief to see us leaving. The parapet crumbles. It comes away under my hands like cake left too long in a warm room. Mud gets under my nails and the nails feel loose in their beds. My knee bangs something hard buried under the sandbags and my kneecap lights up inside like a glass being warmed. I almost lose my rifle and then a hand I don't see takes the sling and lifts, and I owe a debt to that hand I will not pay because I will not know who it was. Up is bigger than I thought. The world is wider, even though all useful things in it are closer, and the air hits my mask and I am aware that I am breathing through a filter damp with my own water. The ground ahead is a field of things that used to have names. Fence post, watering trough, cart axle, stump. They are all now one object called cover. Beyond, something burns without flame, heat shimmering the air like beaten brass. And within it, things move that do not seem to be moving until they are somewhere else. The signals are flares I never saw before. They go up, green and white, and one that is the color of raw fat. I do not know what fat means. I know that when that one goes up, we are on our bellies. So we go on our bellies, and the mud knows me better than a bed knows a sleeping man. It receives the shape of me and finds my bones and fills the valleys between. And the rifle floats on my hands and the blade makes a line like a plow in front of me. I pull myself with my elbows. Each pull is an increment of life. Each pull is a number in my serial string. There is maybe 3 meters between the top of one trench and the lip of a crater. The space is big as a continent. In it, time bends. A shot takes a year to pass overhead. The grass, what little of it there is, flares into tiny flames that go out right away, embarrassed to have been caught alight, ashamed to die in this company. We reach the crater and fall into it like coins falling into a wishing well. There is a smell of stone under the dirt. There is always stone under the dirt, but usually it smells of rain. Here it smells of the wall of a cellar where people hid and then came out or did not. My ribs feel like a rack with meat hung on it, and something in the center of the crater is shiny, not metallic, a different kind of shine, the shine of wet glass. It pulses in and out as if trying to breathe, but the rhythm is not human rhythm. I keep my eyes on the lip. A head appears there, not like the tooth with the eye. This one is a man's head from the brow to the chin, and it is attached to something under the lip that is not a man. The eyes are soft and pool black. The nose is there. The mouth is half there. When it opens, there is an interior you do not see in human mouths. A gristle and a fold that speaks of an arrangement of throat parts never made for speech. The voice it makes is a low smear. The rifle answers. It answers from 3 places at once. Mine, the sergeant's, and someone whose name I do not know. The head goes backwards, and the mouth closing accidentally as it is removed. The crater is not safety. Things roll into it. Grenades. Someone's hand still making a claw, a coil of living wire that looks like a rosary made from grubs. The black and gold shell of an insect that make a noise like a bell far away. I think the bell is a signal for someone to come collect it, and then I think that bells are for churches, and my brain has put that shape over a very different shape to make it fit. The sergeant crushes the insect with the heel of his boot, and it pops like a blister. The sound makes my neck itch. We move along the crater lip to where the earth makes a little angle, a bit of berm. We prop our rifles in sight along the line of mud. When I fire now, the light from my barrel makes the tiny crystals in the dirt glitter for a second, as if this were a festive town square and not the place where someone's long, thin organ is draped over a blown root piece by piece like laundry. I think of my mother. I do not think of my mother's face because it is not here. I think of the motions of her hands cutting bread. It looks like firing. The smooth back and forth, the safe place your mind goes when your body does a thing it knows. I lose count of charge packs when the pouch tears. The seam was a weak seam. The pack inside drops into the mud and is gone like a coin into a pickpocket's hand. I reach and my glove finds only the top lip, twins of the packs like two teeth still in the gum. I push my fingertips down and pinch and pull, and the pack comes with a sucking sound. I spit a curse I learned while cleaning the barracks latrines. It comes out as steam and the taste of soap from memory. The sergeant calls the runners. Half the runners do not come. Those that do are not boys. One is an old man with a spine like a fishing rod and a knot of cloth tied over his ear where the lobe used to be. And his legs know the way through mud the way a dancer's legs know steps, so that he does not waste any energy finding the pockets of firmer ground. He brings us packs as if they are babies. He slides them into our hands and his mouth moves as if he is saying the names of the recipients as he gives them. He is smiling in a way that makes his cheeks drawn and his eyes bright, and it is terrifying. His smile is a mask that is wearing him. He leaves and disappears over the lip, and I do not see him again. I tell myself he found the firm ground again and his feet towed it, and he went back to his little space under the boardwalk and lay with his knees to his chest and let his breath go. I reload with hands that are not mine because they do not shake. They are methodical like the sergeant's glove, tapping, doing the open close and the tight fit and the shove. I look at them and think a certain invader has gotten into me and is operating me, and I am simply the mud in which it has planted itself. I do not object to being soil. Soil holds a shape. Soil makes something grow. Out from my body a set of instructions moves. Place sights, squeeze, do not haul, do not close eyes, breathe, breathe, breathe. The instructions nest and hold like eggs in straw. We get up again because the crater is filling with those who cannot get up, and it is easier to stand if your knees don't have to push against a pile of slowly writhing weight. My boot heel comes down into the soft hollow of an arm. I do not look to see if it is ours or theirs. I feel the muscle give way and the hand flex reflexively around my ankle. And then it lets go because the brain above it has stopped telling its stories. I pull free and my boot makes a crisp tearing sound, as if being freed from paper. We are moving forward, but I do not know where forward is. The line of men next to me bends inward and outward around objects, forming a shape like a damaged comb. I keep myself in the notch I find and let the motion carry me like a fish in a school. The enemy are here and not here. When I put my sights on a place, I think there is something to shoot. Something appears or does not. Sometimes I shoot a place where nothing is, just to say I am here and ready. Sometimes the place coughs up a moving thing and the shot makes sense. There is a wall we did not see. We are upon it. It has pieces of loved ones nailed to it. Not people, but little plaques and rags and a pair of child's shoes with ribbons, and each of these has been carefully hung as if there were parents here to protect them. The paint on the wall flays under my glove, leaving threads. The threads hang from my fingers. I stumble and plant a hand. The wall is warm. It is warmer than any other thing I have touched today, and it wakes something in me that was asleep. The idea of bed, of hearth, of the enclosed place. It makes the outside feel larger in comparison. I tear my hand free because I cannot carry that warmth with me. And when I look, my palm is printed with an image. It is the outline of a bird with too many wings. It smears as I rub it on my coat. It leaves a faint shadow that looks as if it was always there and only needed a finger woken to see it. We form on the far side of the wall. We are too thin. The sergeant does not show it with his stance. He stands as if there are 10 of him inside him, each doing a part of the standing. He looks at me. He does not ask if I am here. He can see I am. He sees the wetness on my mouth grill and he pretends not to. He adjusts my elbow angle by 2 degrees. He gives me the little tap on the helmet rim, and I realize that among the many things here that do not keep their promises, this tap does, and the regularity of it is a rope I can grab and pull hand after hand out of a well. We hold there, and holding is worse than moving and better than waiting. Holding hurts more because you must push yourself into the space you occupy hard enough to keep from slipping back. Your muscles burn and then become wood and then become other people's muscles. The riot of noise resolves itself into a very simple score: high, mid, low. High is whine and hiss and chatter. Mid is the human things: shouting, moaning, the scrape of shovel, the bark of orders, my own breathing somewhere between wheeze and whistle. Low is the hum of machines and the growl of much larger things not here yet, and the prayer frequency that is always present if you look for it. The prayers do not speak in words, but in a pattern. I find the pattern and let it carry some of my weight the way a beam carries a roof. A shape too big to belong arrives. You do not see it at first, and you feel the steps under your feet. Even in this churned mess, a rhythm that imposes itself. The air tilts around it. Those near it move aside without looking. It is a man, but more, taller by a head and a half, shoulders like a door, armor like an altar. On the surface of that armor are symbols that sting the eyes if you look too long. He moves through us like a shark through a shoal of fish, and no one touches him. His presence is not comfort, it is gravity. He lifts his weapon and it roars, not like ours, not the stitched line of the heavy gun, not like anything we carry. It is a percussive hammer, sudden like a door slammed shut just as you pass through. Things in front of him cease to exist in discretely separate parts, and the holes his shots make in the world stay open for a fraction of a breath longer than they should, as if reality is displeased to have to pull itself back together where he passes. His helmet turns a degree toward me as he goes, and I feel in the turned faceplate the attention of a god. It is formal. It notes me the way a scribe notes a detail as he writes down a list of supplies. Units present, charges spent, bodies held, bodies lost. The angle moves away. He is gone in the direction of the burning place. I do not become larger because he passed. I do not become smaller. I remain exactly what I am. A piece in a trench, then a piece at a wall, then a piece in motion, and whatever sees us all sees me as a number you need to keep in a row. There is relief in that too. It takes away the false choice of thinking I could leave and walk around the corner to find a different story. There is no corner. There is a line, and I am a part of it, and it bends and I bend with it. We move again and there is a house. It is less house than pile of rooms. Doors open where doors have never been. A set of stairs lies sideways like a ladder, and the tread holes are deep with ash. We go in because the order is given, because we must unhook who is inside from this place so that they are not behind us when we have gone on. The first room is full of water that used to be tea. It smells of it. The tea is red because of what is washing off the bodies that are in it. The floor is a mosaic. It is smooth under my boots with little stones set in to make a picture of a woman who has 3 hands and is offering bread, and the bread is cut into a cross. The stones of her eye have been pulled free and someone has thrown them into the red tea. I feel them under my soul, and the pressure marks are shapes I know: diamond, tear, square. To step without slipping, I must accept stepping on her face. I do it. I do not look down. Something slapping the wall in the next room by rhythm. A fish, no, a tongue, big as a man's entire body, wet and moving with a mind that only wants to touch. It slaps, pauses, slaps. Each slap sticks and tears away. The sound is soft and huge at once. We fire through the doorway and the tongue recoils and a body attached to it pulls itself along the ceiling. It is not like the things outside, it is more like us. It has ribs and they rise and fall, and there are marks on the ribs where little straps cut into them long ago. It hisses like someone trying to quiet a child with a finger on their lips, and the sergeant throws a grenade and the room comes apart and falls back together, and we step through into a place that is not a room anymore, but two halves married badly. The tongue lies across a table that is now a wall, and the plates on it hold stew. I have not eaten, and when the smell of the stew reaches me, my stomach lurches, and for a moment there is calm in my head because a human thing is happening. Hunger, food. Then I see the stew is full of little slick oval shapes that look like eyes, and those shapes are still moving slightly as if about to look up at me. My stomach empties inside me, dry, into my mask. We clear the house by the list. We know the list. Entry, left, right, up, down, corner, behind the door, under the bed, inside the cabinet if it is big enough, the closet. And the closet holds a single thing, a small shirt on a small hanger. The hanger is made of polished wood and engraved with little flowers, and the shirt smells of blue soap. I close the closet. The sergeant taps me. It is the same tap. It says, "Do not waste yourself inside this cupboard. We have rooms yet." I move on. Time slips. It is not a straight line. It is a series of plates laid on the floor in a long hallway, some far apart, some close. I step from one to another, and sometimes there is a gap I almost miss and nearly fall into. I put my foot on a plate that is my own blade going in again. Not into the mouth from earlier, but into a different joint, the place where a shoulder meets a body. The blade sticks. I brace and push, and my shoulder makes a swim of sharp, brief pain that sings with metal in it. And a part of me says that pain invests you in your own flesh. Wear it like a medal. Another part says, you are just different kinds of meat at different temperatures, and this one has a knife lodged in it, and this is what knives do. We come out of the house on the other side. There is light there. Real light, not eyes, not muzzle. The light is failing, but what is left of it is gold, the way the icons are gold, and it makes a border around the edge of the sky that looks like leaf on the edges of a book. I can see the true color of the mud for the first time in hours, and it is not brown, it is green-black. And in it are the shadows of worms. There are bodies everywhere in singles and piles, and between them the little scissoring movements of things whose place is to clean. I do not step on them because they will do their job for us if we let them. This is practical, not kindness. Kindness does not live here any more than a certain kind of peaceful cruelty does. The order comes to hold. We hold. The movement in front of us dies down like the tail of a storm. The enemy do not mass and rush again. They make themselves thin. They leave out pieces of themselves as if a person laid down their hand and arm and told it to fight and then walked away without it. Parts creep and are made to stop creeping. Shapes flicker and become ordinary debris if you look too long, as if embarrassed to be caught trying to be anything else. The big machine we saw early on moves far off, a shadow across a line of craters, its gait patient and wrong like a crawling temple. And it leaves, and I know that the space it occupied will never fill back with anything like the shape it displaced. You could plant a forest there and it would still be its absence. We count ourselves by touching shoulders. We do not call names. Names stick in the throat. Shoulders do not. Shoulder, shoulder, shoulder. Each one bears a number of taps that says here, here, here. The line is ragged but intact. The sergeant makes a mark on a slate he keeps on a cord inside his coat. He drops the stylus once because his fingers are slick and the little slate hits the edge of a plank and chips. He looks at the chip for a second as if it offends him, then pockets the slate, now with its exact wrong corner, and goes back to straightening us into the shape he wants. We breathe. Breathing takes up the space that panic was using just moments ago. Panic is loud and quick. Breathing is not. I discover the bottom of my breath and how much room it wants, and I try to give it those rooms in my chest that have been full of other people's noises all afternoon. My ribs creak. Each breath moves something in my back that feels like a stone wrapped in cloth. The cloth is getting tighter. The medic comes. He is young, younger than me, but he carries himself like an old person because he is tired. And whatever set of motions life put in his body to make it easy to pick up cups and lift curtains has been replaced with a new set that knows how to find veins under caked muck. He touches my arm, and I don't want to be touched by anyone who isn't in my unit. But I hold still because my body wants his fingers. He checks a puncture I was unaware of. It is small. It lets out a thin smoke. He presses a patch onto it, and the patch hisses and clings. The cold of it runs through me in a track, cooling everything along the way. I imagine I can see the track under my skin. It makes a map. For a second, I see the map spread out, routes and paths in the shape of complicated organs bent to their tasks, a layout not drawn by man. It fades. He moves on. He smells of something clean, something we were not allowed to bring with us to prevent us from giving ourselves reasons to stay behind with it. The light goes all the way. The darkness is not empty. It has weight and bites. The lamps along the parapet are lit under covers so they do not show. They make little rooms wherever they point. We live in these rooms now. Between them is all the night. We take watch by numbers, and time is a rope again, measured in knots, each knot a breath, each breath a clench of the jaw to keep the cough down. The cough wants out. It wants to announce. It wants to make me known to someone out there who is looking for something to fix in their sights. I swallow it, and it sits in my chest like a hot stone. We drink water that tastes of metal, coolant, rubber tubing. We chew a thing that is supposed to be food, and it turns to paste in our mouths and then into a hard mass that sits in the gut like it belongs there and will be there for a long while. We pass around a tin of something haltingly sweet that the sergeant doesn't turn his head away from but also does not take. He keeps his mouth moving, not with words now, but with counting. Small, uneven movements of lips that tell the numbers like a rosary in reverse. I see the shape of his teeth for the first time as an outline under the skin. In they are blunt and flat, ground down on hard grain, hyped rations habit. There are less of us. The empty spaces are too many to ignore. We tell ourselves those spaces are being filled from the rear, but we know how long it takes to make a person into one of us, enough to stand in a space and take the shape of it. Time has been shorter than that. The spaces leak, the way a bad barrel leaks even when you hammer a new plug into the hole. The barrel still holds water. It just leaves a line wherever it goes. I take my glove off for a second because I want to feel my own skin to be sure it is there. The cold eats the sweat on my palm with delighted cruelty. My hand is raw, ridges of the prints swollen with mud and grit and whatever came out of the mouths of those things that touch us. Under the third fingernail there is a bit of something. I could say it is mud, but it is not. It is lighter, grayer, a little like cooked egg. I hook it with my nail and pull, and it comes out in a soft thread, and it snaps, and what remains goes deeper. My stomach turns over with the simple outrageousness of this small, stubborn invader in my hand. It is a tiny monarchy declaring itself on my skin. I lick my finger and scrub it on the wood of the parapet where it is rough, and a splinter lodges in the pad of the finger, and I am almost delighted because this pain is all mine. Entirely human-made. A noise moves along the trench, not an alarm, not a shout, a murmur, a whole line exhale. My head turns with the others. The darkness has a lighter seam in it. We wait for it to become a new fire, a new enemy, a new impossible. It does not. It lifts a shade. In the sky, cobwebs from black to gray, and everything in it takes on edges. The edge of the wall. The outlines of the torn ground. The folds in my coat. My weapon scratches, each one a story I can imagine but do not need to tell myself. We see. We blink and tell our eyes to accept what is here. We do not ask for more. The sergeant waits. He does not give the order we are waiting for until the light is precisely wrong. Not bright enough to be safe, not dark enough to hide us. He is precise in this. He is the metronome. He is a man who has made peace with doing harm to seconds. He gives the word. We rise, all of us who can. Mud peels from the planks in the shape of our souls. My heel sticks and then lets go with a pop I feel in my jaw. The shield in front of me is a body we propped and forgot to lay down again. I move around it and it sways and almost comes with me. I free myself gently from the cloak of his hand around my coat. I tell him in my head that I will come back for the hand later. I will not come back for the hand later. The whistle the sergeant carries is dented. It livens when he puts it to his mouth. The note is thin and harsh, and it makes a tiny gap in the cloth of the air, and we go through it because that is the work. We go forward and we find our feet underneath us, and we find by our toes the thin places in the ground where it is easy to walk. The ground talks when you listen for it. It tells you where the bodies lay all night and warmed the mud. It tells you where machines have rolled and have pressed down their particular pattern, the ridges and holes. And it tells you where things grew once and were destroyed in lines unnatural to them. A new day, new work, the same work. The outline of a fig tree somebody planted long ago shows in a caving of earth where roots held against the dig and then gave. A torn sack flaps on a pole. The pole leans and points like a finger towards something we will go to. Someone on the other end waiting for us like a loved one whose face you cannot see until you come round the corner. Like a loss you hold at arm's length because you cannot prevent it, only delay touching it. I raise the rifle. The blade is dulled at the tip. The edge has nicked. I can feel the little notch in it as my gloved palm slides. I think, I will sharpen it if we stop long enough. I think, if I take it to the stone it will throw off sparks and those sparks will look lovely. Tiny stars falling. I think, this is a thought about a thing I can do with my hands and it is a blessing. We walk. We do not march. Marching is for parades and for the long steady lines when there is music. Our movement now is off time. It clicks and jerks and stops and starts and speaks in the language of half-steps and kicked stones and men muttering apologies into their masks when their elbows knock. The fields soak our cuffs. The cuffs drink in the cold water and share it with the bone. We keep moving and my mind stays just in front of my feet, an arm's length of thinking ahead and no further, and it is all right. Whichever God is with us today fits in that short space and shares it like a ration. I do not give it a name. I bend to my task and it bends with me. We come to a ditch and we go down into it and come up the other side, and the man in front of me does not. He slides back in, his faceplate making a light squeal against a stone hidden in the bank. His hands scrabble and his legs work, and he is like a beetle on its back. And I take his strap and pull and he pops free like a cork, and he breathes a sob, just one, and it fogs his mask, and I let go and we climb, and that is that. We do not exchange thanks. The strap is wet where my hand had it. The wet has a smell. I tell myself it is only the ditch. It is not only the ditch, it is also his body. I accept this. My hands are my hands again. They will be someone else's later. For now, they are mine. The sergeant turns his head and the light climbs the rim of his helmet. I can see his eyes briefly in the little darkness between the rim and the cheek guards. His eyes are like anyone's eyes when they have not slept, and they are rimmed and red and the lids are heavy and want to be down. They stay up because an order was given long ago and because the lids respect orders. He opens his hand and makes a little motion like putting crumbs on a table, and we spread our line accordingly. This is a feast. We make it with what we have. We see them ahead in the broken grove where the orchard was. They move with purpose that is not human. Still, each has a way of moving, and you begin to learn the grammar of it, the rules. This one darts and doubles back. This one splits and makes a copy of itself one pace over and tries to be in both places at once. This one stands up and is beautiful and then comes on all joints and teeth, and you must not look at the beauty or you will be late raising your weapon for the rest. This one looks like a woman. It is not a woman. I say her to myself the way I did for the closet and the shirt. Then I drop the thought because it has no place here. The place here is where it is, only. We add our fire to the world. The world swallows it and gives back misses and hits and little changes. You can tell when a shot matters. The air does a small thing, a click, a shift in how it lets you in and out. When it does not matter, the air does not change. It is a terrible thing to do a thing and have the world remain exactly the same. That is what makes you want to scream and tear your own clothes or your own skin. When you do a thing and the world moves the fraction the weight of the thing did something to your own weight, and you can go on. We go on until the lips of the day begin to close. The mouth of it is dry now, cracked, the speaking done, and the sun behind us low enough that each of us has a long black name attached to his heels. We are told to stand down. Stand down is standing up, then down, then kneel if you can kneel, then sit if you can sit. Then someone pulls you by the elbow into a place where you are meant to be and makes you small so the next man can be tall for a turn. The sergeant comes and touches each of us in turn on the chin to make us raise our faces so he can count our eyes. He counts without moving his lips. He counts fast. He knows the number he wants. He does not get it. He listens to his own body working at disappointing itself, and he does not let it show anywhere but at the corner of his mouth, a muscle twitch that might be a thought trying to get out and failing. I sit on the plank, and the plank bends and my thighs go numb in two stripes where the edge presses. I look at my kneecaps through the fabric and they look like the faces of small animals caught panting. I take the strip of cloth the man gave me and take it off the rifle and smooth it. It has a smear of something on it that will stain it a color that was not in it when it was inked. The little face in the corner is distorted. It looks like it is shouting. I fold it into a square and press it into the place inside my coat where the inner pocket is sewn crooked because the woman who stitched it was in a hurry or old, or her needle was bad. The cloth presses cold for a few breaths and then is no longer cold, and that is how you learn the shape of the living underneath. The sound builds behind us of carts, of boots, and of a voice like a kitchen mouth calling odd sweet names for things. Mess, chest, brew, roll. The desert of food that clogs your jaw. The metallic drink that coats tongues and throats and reopens the pathways to cough. The heave and slide of bodies moved to where they will be made less here and sent to the rear where the number is kept and added and subtracted. A name is not said, a serial is said, a line chalked on a board is wiped and added again. I do not take my mask off. The fabric is part of my face now. It has molded to my cheekbones and left little hollows where it presses. Underneath it, my lip is split and my teeth are gritty and the taste never changes no matter what I put into my mouth. I sip from my can and I hold the water in my cheeks like a squirrel long enough for a bit of sweetness to come out of the rubber and make a memory of fruit in my teeth. We do not speak. When someone tries, the voice is too loud and we shush him, reflex birds in a thicket all at once. We save our voices for the next orders, for the next calling of a name, a number, for the next pain that will need a name so we can give it away to someone who can do something with it. A person with a patch and hands and a little book. Dark comes down once more and we fit our bodies to the shapes in the trench we have made. In the notch of the wall we will try to hold tomorrow when it comes and tries to push where it pushed today and in a different place we are not ready for. I pick up my rifle and the blade taps the boards twice because I am too tired to hold it high enough. The tap is a small music. It keeps time with my heart. Something small scurries over my boot, a creature of the space between our feet that does not mind which side it is on. My boot is so wet inside I cannot tell where skin ends and leather begins. I tilt my head back and feel where the helmet has worn a groove in my scalp. It is a neat dent with gritty edges, and my hair is matted around it in a crown. My fingertips go to it and then pull away because even though it is mine, there is something humbling about the shape. The helmet comes down over it and makes it disappear. The sergeant's glove is tapping someone else. I hear it in my bones as if the wood of this trench is one instrument and my ribs another, and both play the same song. And I set the rifle's butt down, slowly so it doesn't clack. The end cap rests against the plank with the faintest of clicks. The notch in the bayonet tang, dulled and nicked, catches the lamplight like a tiny chipped tooth.